It took me a while to get ready. I've just been fucking running around.
Well, we're not live, but we're live.
Well, now we're live.
It's recording, but it's not live. Big bandana guy over there, huh?
Well, that's been one of the biggest developments in quarantine, John.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing all right with your hair, but my hair, there's a glare.
The beast is being contained right now by this hat.
I'm gonna move my camera back down here. You may not be able to hear it, but like my hair it's a mess. It's an absolute positive mess. I'll take off the bandana.
Fitz Minshew.
Give you an idea. It is. Look at this. It's horrible for podcasting, but it's an absolute train wreck right now, Johnny boy. Let me put my headphones back on. Installing. It is an absolute kerfuffle up there, and can't get a haircut, so I got to do something with it. And when I'm not at work, when I don't have my hair gel in after I take a shower, I've been doing bandanas now just to get it out of my hair, or like a band or something like that. Whatever I need to do just to get it out of my face. I don't like the bangs, or I don't like that in my forehead.
I'm getting upper eyebrow touchage, which that's like it's the same situation where how I don't like pants touching my knees, and that's why I wear short shorts. Like I can't have the hair like down here. So
it gives me acne on my forehead. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I had a really bad breakout the other day, and I was like, nope, just got to get it out of my hair one way or the other. Yeah, exactly. Now, granted, if I don't clean this, maybe it would give me, and then we're back to square one. And you played yourself, Fitz.
Let me give you my home skincare routine. It's on my Instagram story right after my home workout.
Hey, girl. You're so pretty. I hope you're doing well, even though I haven't talked to you at all since high school. And it was only to copy your homework sophomore year. But anyways, I have this new poop tea on my bio and this great skincare product. I was wondering if you wanted to maybe take it. I promise you it's not a pyramid scheme. I promise you.
Oh, all too familiar.
Hey,
we all have 10 of those people in our lives now.
I gotta say, I have not been really approached by any of those poop tea people or skincare. I gotta say, I take offense to it. I take that personally. Does no one think I'm pretty?
Don't I look like a poop tea guy, don't I?
You kind of give off a little bit of poop tea. I can imagine you be like, I'm trying this poop tea recently, and I gotta say, not lying about the poop. Really, really got the runs over here.
What some of the people, it's like if you even view their Instagram story, they like slide in. They're like, hey, I saw that you were looking at me do 10 crunches today. Was wondering if you wanted to buy my workout.
The Shaq meme with the meme eyes, it just says real shit. It's all deep fried. When someone views your story selling your poop tea.
Well, as far as I've got a quick little list here, I need to read off to you. By the way, to bookend the bandana thing, I've been thinking about getting in the bandana game, and it's mainly because my roommates and I started watching the show The Circle. I know we watched it like 3 months after it had its moment, and there is a character on there who every time the camera cuts to him, he is doing something absurd, and he has like these insane, like he's wearing some insane outfit. And so I was like, oh, the bandana might be a good look. There was a different character wearing a bandana that I was like, I think I could do it. I think the hair's long, and I've worn bandanas to music festivals before. Could make it a normal look. But this one dude was pulling off a do-rag real good. And I was like, prior to this, I was like, I think only Omar can pull it off. But now that I saw this gentleman wearing one, I was like, okay, I think I might try to get it on the do-rag. And I was told, it might have been tongue-in-cheek, I don't know if I was being fucked with, but I was told that somebody said they could see me in a do-rag. A teal do-rag, to be specific.
If there's going to be any of them, it'd be a teal do-rag with like orange cargo shorts with purple polka dots all over the shorts. But yeah, I think that was tongue-in-cheek. You in a do-rag, that would be... I'm just imagining with the skull caps that like some NFL players wear.
But I might just, especially when outside season starts and all we can do is sit in the backyard and drink cold ones with the boys and the cat.
Socially respectably, 6 feet apart from each other, but still with the fellas.
Well, no, we live together, so we're allowed to hug.
Fair enough.
We've done some very close things in quarantine. Quarantine making the brain go haywire, you know. So here's a couple things that I've and just give me your general thought on these things. Bang bang things, and we're going because in death brings life. It's like the island in The Last Jedi. Now here's just a couple things. Give me your reaction. Things that have resurrected. Home Alone, the Home Alone franchise with Glasses Kid from Jojo Rabbit.
Well, I forgot that Yorkie's his name, right? Now that part I didn't know. I was gonna say, pass, nothing to do with it. Yorkie adds a completely different element into it. If Yorkie's a part of it, I'm in. It resurrects like Jesus on the third day. That leads
me to my next resurrection. Jesus Christ.
Depending on who you ask.
Great guy.
Depending on who you ask if he resurrected or not.
Aerosmith in the 90s when they released Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
A huge resurrection that led to them getting their own ride at fucking Disney World, dude. Basically, and so they have their own roller coaster at Hollywood Studios, Rock and Roller Coaster. Hilarious story on that. We could get back to the segment, but just a quick anecdote for those who don't know. I believe I say the joke is they're like the 47th on the list of bands that they wanted to make the ride themed after. It was probably their third or fourth, but I know the first was. And I forget what the source on this is. I heard this a couple years ago. The first was the Stones. They wanted to get the Stones to theme it. So Michael Eisner, the CEO of the Walt Disney Company at the time, went up to, like he walked up to Mick Jagger just randomly on the street. They approached the Stones and said, "Hey, we want to make a ride themed after you." And Mick must have been all in on it. He's like, "Oh yeah, right. That sounds like a great idea. You have to pay us like $25 million, and you have to put on 3 songs from our new shit album." Like they wanted way too much. They wanted all this money, and you couldn't even you could pick like 2 or maybe 3 classic Stone songs, and the rest it was just going to be them promoting their new shit.
Mick wanted them to put "Rough Justice" like that when they played it at the halftime show.
Yeah, that like what Rock and Roll probably came out like late '90s, so it was one of those albums, and then the halftime show was like they played
Voodoo
3 songs. Yeah, exactly, something like, you know what I mean? Yeah, not even Steel Wheels, like not even that. Like this is well after Some Girls, which even at that point, like, it's a good album, but you're getting towards the waning years of the Rolling Stones, so they couldn't get that. And what's even funnier, I think the next one they went to was Led Zeppelin, and they just straight up said, "Fuck you, no." No, baby, can you sit on your roller coaster? Ooh. No, baby. Jimmy Page just rattles off a great fucking lick to play up Michael Eisner off stage. And get the fuck out of here, baby.
one of the kids from Greta Van Fleet was walking by for that conversation.
I was gonna say, do you like my Greta Van Fleet impression?
That's how they wrote Highway Tune.
Yeah.
It was a Page improvisation to tell Disney to fuck off.
Led Zepp 3 and Led Zepp 4 are direct ripoffs of March of the Peaceful Army, whatever the fuck the name of that Greta Van Fleet album. I think I got that right, actually. I think it's March of the. I'm looking it up now. So, anyways,
hold on. Can we get a fact check on the Greta Van Fleet album, please?
Greta Van Fleet. Anthem of the Peaceful Army. Excuse me.
See, that's one of those like, you know when a band, usually it's like that's their first album. Usually it's like the third or fourth where they just have some long title and they're clearly trying to be like so much more artsy. When it's like contrived like that, like I think the New Politics album that came out in last fall was called like an invitation to an alternate reality, and I was like, blah, blah, blah. And then all the songs were on all like the college basketball promos. So.
Now it ended up being an alright album, but when I first heard the album title, it when you
fine.
sleep or you are so beautiful yet so unaware of it, I was like,
oh yeah.
Jeez.
I actually think that's a really fucking weird album title. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's still it, but it's a great album. It's a great album.
If you're in love, it's not weird.
Yeah, true. Or if you love cocaine, then it's very, very normal. And that's just the 1975 in general.
Love cocaine.
Cocaine.
Bet you half a rock on that.
Getting back to the wire talk here. Resurrection. What do we got here? What's on your list here?
The Batman franchise with Batman Begins.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Resurrecting with Robert Pattinson.
That is coming soon. And you know what we got? This is the classic. This is the beginning of the life cycle of a DC film after The Dark Knight Rises. Is one of the actors says it's going to be more dark.
Maybe as dark as The Dark Knight. Yeah,
that's phase one. That's phase one right there, and then we're heading in the right direction.
I was thinking about how much that fucking Jared Leto Joker bothers me. I haven't even seen that full movie, but just the clips of Jared Leto. He's got damage tattooed across his chest. Did you see Birds of Prey? No, I did not.
In Birds of Prey, all the flashbacks that explain the Joker story, they animated them so that they didn't have to use Jared Leto. also, if you had given me 10 celebrities that I had to pick that would have been that were not aware that there was a pandemic, Jared Leto absolutely would have been one of them. And that dude was basically on a vision quest in the desert. And then came out a month later, and there was a pandemic. He was like, "Oh shit!"
Well, that actually happened. Actually happened to a buddy of mine. He traveled somewhere in Asia, I think, studying abroad or whatever it is, and he didn't have cell service for a month. And the day he got service back, just to check on the news to see what was happening, it was the day after the NBA canceled their season.
Oh no!
Everything started going to shit with this virus. He was an enormous, just fucking, I don't know what you call it, just shock, I guess, for lack of a better term. But no, he a rude awakening, I guess you could say. He was in for a rude awakening when that happened.
How are you handling the quarantine era?
Ugh, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Hot take, I don't like it. Coronavirus, not a fan. Not this guy. No,
don't tell me. Try saying that to Michael Jordan.
yeah, I was about to say.
Motherfucking you. Well, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna give him an iPad with you saying that. You just not even saying. We'll cut before you said coronavirus, and it's just you ripping something, and he'll be like, "This fucking man, the fuck you think he is?"
I have no problem with the glove. I still gotta watch that whole thing, man. I have them all recorded. I have them ready to go. I just haven't had the time.
These people holding grudges is unbelievable.
All these rich millionaires,
30 years later.
Again, having not seen it at all, but I've seen enough clips to know it's just a bunch of rich millionaires holding all these grudges. You enjoy it? I mean, I guess anyone could enjoy it, but you're not even a huge basketball guy, and you're enjoying it.
I mean, I've gotten so much into storylines the last couple of years, not even of just basketball, of any sport. If there's a story that I like, then I'll get into it, but I'm not gonna spend the time learning the X's and O's of baseball or of baseball too. Baseball doesn't have stories because they don't advertise themselves as a league, so I never know what's happening unless Trevor Bauer goes on a rant on Twitter about it. But basketball, I enjoy a storyline in basketball. I was very captivated by the China thing earlier this year, and then just because I see all the off court drama on Twitter just by scrolling down my timeline because they're actually allowed to promote themselves and the league promotes them. Steph Curry does a bounce pass and I see it on Twitter by accident 5 seconds later. So whereas I don't think I could name 10 MLB pitchers. We did that exercise in the early days.
Probably named Pedro is one of them. The NBA does lend itself more to being on Twitter more just because at least more ridiculous shit comes out. Now, maybe stuff like this happens in baseball and we just don't know, and they do a good job of keeping it behind closed doors. But when was the last time you heard a league outside of the NBA where a player literally took a bowl of hot soup and threw it at a coach? That was a Wednesday night in the NBA. J.R. Smith threw a bowl of hot soup at a coach.
See, people probably don't think coaches have to deal with as much shit as they do until they find out after. People everybody who wasn't sold on Phil Jackson before this, which is it's bonkers if you weren't to begin with. But the fact that he had to deal with all these egos and these personalities at once is absolutely astounding that he was able to. And he did it twice too. He did it with MJ. Then he did it when MJ came back. At that point, he had Dennis Rodman, and then he did it again with Kobe and Shaq.
I was gonna say. Then he had the Lakers. Dude.
Yeah. Like that is not an easy task. Like even like someone like Mike Tomlin, like when we found out all the shit he must have had to do with Le'Veon Bell and AB at the same time, and Martavis Bryant was on that team too, and like that's another one. Like
Pat Riley's another one. He coached the Showtime Lakers in the '80s, and then later on ended up coaching like D Wade and Shaq with the Heat, and it's been a part of multiple organizations with a bunch of superstar players for decades.
Also, I think the Phil Jackson episode, which was like the second or third episode, was absolutely incredible. First off, the dude is just like he's almost like somebody like we think of today, where they're like, oh, like remember Chris Kluwe on the Vikings punter? It's like that dude was a huge nerd.
I don't remember Chris Kluwe, the punter on the Vikings. I don't.
You definitely do. Huge nerd, played bass in a band. It's almost like Pat McAfee as well, or even who was the guy who was on the Raiders and the Broncos for a few years. He's not in the league anymore. He danced with the penalty flag, and John Gruden got pissed at him.
Oh, King is his last name, right?
Marquette.
Yeah, Marquette King.
It's like the people that are just so clearly like football is not like their favorite thing in the world, but they just happen to be a professional athlete. It's always a kicker or a punter.
They just so happen to be good at it.
That almost was Phil Jackson. It's like the dude was like, well, he obviously loved coaching and loved basketball and everything, but then he also was just a huge hippie. Like he was obsessed with like Native American heritage. I think he was some percentage Native American.
I think his home is in Wyoming. I think right now.
Okay. Oh yeah, well there was a whole thing how he lived next to a reservation growing up, so he like played. Yeah. He would like grow up like playing with like Native American children. But
I knew that a little bit. If it goes, I'd be interested if they go into that more on the documentary.
They do, and they talk about him being on LSD as well. But then the by far the best part I think of. I don't know what maybe my favorite part of it so far is because a lot of the other stuff they aren't really digging in too deep on, and some people are like coming away kind of disappointed that they don't go further on some of the things like the gambling thing. Like they don't dive in as deep as they probably could in 10 episodes.
There's only going to be so much that they.
But they talk about Phil Jackson coaching in Puerto Rico, and at one point they're like, it was so like. These teams were so bloodthirsty, hated each other, wanted to kill each other. One of the teams like killed a chicken and put the blood on the opposing team's bench before the game. And then they had one game where the mayor of the opposing town shot a ref. He shot one of the refs, and
that was 8 seconds, ref. That was 8 seconds.
The mayor didn't get arrested. His punishment was just that he couldn't attend home games the rest of the season. And the following season, they let him back in, and he punched a ref in the face.
you could travel with the team. I don't just lay low a little bit for the home games. Watch from home. You can make a road trip every now and again. A couple months though, you're fine though. You're free to do assault against the referee. I don't care. I thought it was out of bounds too.
It was on the line, to be fair. It's only because you were on the away teams building.
I like
the crowd convinced the refs to call that one.
Yeah, it was a makeup call for earlier. You know what I mean?
It was a makeup call for the buckshot that they put in the coach in the previous week's knee.
Maybe tell him not to kill a rabbit or chicken next time and put the blood all over the bench. Maybe the ref will go your way. I'd like to think that Phil Jackson thought of the triangle defense while he was high on LSD. I like to think that that's how he innovated the game.
Yeah, it was like,
or at least progressed it. Maybe he didn't come up with it. I don't know the entire history of the triangle offense. Sue me. Yeah. But I'd like to think he thought of that.
How Tom DeLonge wrote Aliens Exist 25 years ago, and then just like got them to, and then like last week the Navy released UFO videos because of him. It's like, yeah, Phil, like just years ago, he figured that out.
Yeah, that's huge for the brand, huge for Tom's brand there. That aliens look to exist. Wow. He told us.
I know, and no one gave a shit because we're all in quarantine, getting boozed up 5 out of 7.
No one also gave a shit when it happened either, because like 2 minutes later, he was just talking about how he had an awkward boner on a different song.
He was that. Did you see the video of the little girl?
Really fast drum line in a repetitive bass line playing.
Hey mom, there's something in my pants. Hope it's not okay. Did you see the video of the little girl who was singing? She like had like a little guitar and she was just like, I wonder what's in my butthole. I wonder what's in my butthole. Maybe it's aliens. And he quote tweeted it was like, this is an early Blink demo.
Yeah, right. That I did see that. That's the
That was
best.
great.
That's the best, maybe the best music that's come out of quarantine so far. Because
I know Billie Eilish wrote a song though.
One
She wrote
number
an
one.
entire song while in quarantine. A whole one.
I don't dislike Billie Eilish. I still don't get it. I think I've said it on this very program. I don't get it. And this is just another part of it. Like, am I missing something here? She wrote a song.
So I'm fine with her. I actually did.
I think she's talented.
I did like her album when it came out. That song where they like modulate her voice to make her sound like she's like a really little girl is very good with the ukulele. There's like one where she samples.
You Should See Me in a Crown is a great song. I like that song.
The one where she samples Threat Level Midnight, the Office episode, like that. It's like it might not be a good song, but she sampled The Office, so I guess it's a good song. And then I thought like Bad Guy is a cool bass line. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm fine with her, but yeah, but this whole like she wrote a whole song while in quarantine. It's like we've all been in quarantine for 2 months. Like I don't know. I think
girl wrote a fucking song too, and it bopped.
So one of your buddies, one of your Twitter people that follows me, replied to my quote tweet of Billie Eilish and said that apparently Charlie XCX has written an entire album in quarantine that she's going to release. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Where's the media coverage for that? Well, Charlie XCX didn't just sweep the Grammys right before this, so
politics. In general, though, like music that's come out in quarantine. With one exception, and we will get to that exception. I think you know what the exception is.
Well, we can get to it right now. The Strokes.
The Strokes. Okay, the Strokes was solid.
The Strokes one actually is very good.
That was pretty good. I take it. So there's two exceptions. The Strokes album was pretty good.
So I like the Strokes album, and I finally listened to, and that's not going to say, well, I can't say I finally listened to them because I have seen them live, and you have not. Car Seat Headrest, your little guy's band, and
yes,
what
sir.
I will say, so I have not listened to the album that you told me. Well, I have before. I need to like sit down and like
Twin Fantasy. Yeah, that's the one that
you
need to sit in a dark room and lock yourself in and just stare at the wall and just have at it with that album. What a fucking album that is.
But I did. So I listened to Making a Door Less Open, which came out a couple weeks ago, and I liked it. I've listened to it a few times. I probably listened to it like 4 or 5 times. It is like. This band is you take the Killers, you tell Brandon to fuck off. Dave's still in the band, and Jules from the Strokes is the lead singer. And then they kind of start fucking around, and then they're like, yo, remember that Zelda game I played on the Nintendo 64? And then it's just like the Car Seat Headrest remix of Lost Woods from Zelda. Even like the first song on this album sounds like it's like the theme to like an opening montage of like an African safari documentary or something.
Well, this I haven't listened to all the songs off this album yet. I actually frankly forgot that the album came out. I haven't listened to all the songs yet. It's a bit of a change for them. They're a little bit more electronic. They're much more like harder rock in terms of their past stuff. Like for you, Teens of Denial and Twin Fantasy, those albums, right up your alley. That's John City, USA, baby. That's like their most popular song might be like Drunk Drivers, Killer Whales. That's on Teens of Denial.
I've actually seen when I saw them, I know they played both of those songs because before they played them, they said the name of them, and I vividly remember them saying "Killer Whales," and I said to somebody,
"Doesn't have to be like this."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, are they playing a Small Pools cover?"
Yeah, right. It's about very much different.
Yeah, very much was not a Small Pools cover.
Yeah,
why is the lead singer wearing like a Spetsnaz gas mask in like the promotion for this album?
I think it's his new alter ego, Will Toledo. I think that's his I think that's his character for this album. You know, kind of like a Bono Fly situation, kind of sort of.
Okay.
Can't Cool Me Down was pretty good though. I think that was the lead single off of it. That's a pretty solid track to get things going. It's the second on this album, like in terms of the actual track listing I see here. I still need to again listen to the whole album because I do like Car Seat Headrest a lot. But they are a band they're right up your alley. How to Leave Town's a great album too. I still think Twin Fantasy, out of what I've heard, is their best stuff though. Twin Fantasy is a delight.
I like the Twin Fantasy Goron's Mountain remix is a good one by them. I'm making vague Zelda references.
I was like, I don't know what the reference is. I'm not even going to give you the benefit here. I'm not even going to give you the pity laugh. I'm like, I don't know.
So I'm starting to get pissed off though at how many like people are like, oh, like Lady Gaga was like, love her to death. She was like, oh, I can't release an album right now in this environment. I was like, no, we want it. we got nothing to do. Everyone's pushing back albums.
A lot of that probably might have to do with touring though, right?
Yeah, but like, I mean, maybe for somebody of her stature, maybe there's some sort of analytical money reason for doing that.
The big wigs at the record companies, yeah.
Yeah, but like Van Weezer didn't need to be pushed back.
I cannot tell you how little I am excited for that album. I do not care. I do not care about that Weezer album.
They released a song off of it called "Hero" on Friday, and it's like it's a fine song. It's probably better than anything that was on the.
So you want to talk about a loop that happens, a cycle that happens? Like what do you see? The John post Raditude and Hurley Weezer release cycle is they drop the first song. It's like, oh, it's actually pretty good. It's already better than what they released last time. You say, oh yeah, it's fine. It sounds better than what they released last time. And then the album drops, and then you're like, yeah, this album sucks. Like 4 songs. It's happened no less than like 3 times since this
To be fair, that only happened. Well, Everything Will Be All Right at the end. I like had a friggin' hard on for.
You did like that album a lot. So
I do like it. But then most people actually thought White was like their Resurrection album, theme of the show, Resurrection. Everyone like it was like Everything Will Be All Right in the end. I think is like easily their 3rd best album. I don't. It's obviously Blue and Pink trump all. I thought it was like right below. Everyone was like, when they released White, they were like, it's a return to form, a career renaissance, a Weezer-sance, if you will. And it was good. It was good and everything, but I didn't get as into it as like everyone else. Like people were hyping it up because it was basically a ripoff of Pinkerton. it was essentially like the themes, like the beachy themes of the Blue album with like the distorty guitars of Pinkerton. And then they just put it on an album and everyone was like, it's fucking amazing. And then everything since then has been shit. Although I do think I don't care. Like the Teal album, I'm like I don't mind find covers. I know, fun covers like Sumi.
Oh God, I want to jump out of a window whenever I hear that cover of Africa. It's so bad. It's so bad, John.
That was one of the all-time trolls, though, when there was clearly like such a strong campaign for them to cover Africa,
and then they did Rosanna.
They released a cover of Rosanna.
That is, I'll give them credit for that. That is a great
troll game. Troll game is on point there.
The older I get, though, I am turning into that like the old joke. I mean, we used to make it all the time. Like they really fell off after Pinkerton and Green Album. The older I get, though, like I've unironically come around to that take. It's like I don't. Not much moves the needle after that. You know,
well, at least we have. I'll listen to it. It's next week. Also, actually, probably maybe a bigger troll than them covering Rosanna is the fact that they released an album called Van Weezer, made it look like a Van Halen album, and it's just not a cover of Van Halen covers album, which is what everyone assumed it was right off the bat. And then if you actually like clicked on the article when they announced it, it was just like, nah, it's just the next album.
We just thought it was funny. We thought it looked cool.
Yeah, like we were like, all right, but at least we'll get. I think Killers is this month. I think it's the 28th or the 29th. We'll get that, and then 1975 still next month as of now. We'll see.
Well, what do you? I thought it's the end of this month.
Oh, is it this month?
Did those motherfuckers move it back again? Because they moved that album back like 3 times by now.
Yeah, I know.
No, Sonic can do. And we will get to that. I want to do Killers first, and then we'll get to the real good stuff with the 1975 because that's been tasty.
Well, so we've got
May 22nd for the 1975. So we're
okay. So we'll have a few.
Now, granted, they could push it back to August because again, it's happened before. It was going to be April, but before then it was going to be January. But then before that, it was going to be like October.
So what do you think of Caution and Fire in Bone?
Totally fine. Totally like okay.
Very, very fine. It makes it doesn't it make you like the man? It makes you like the man better because the man is actually the man. I think has aged very well.
Yeah, they're aggressively mediocre, and I like Caution more. But it's fine. You know what I mean? It's okay. I if I can get even just like a 7 out of 10 Killers album here, I'd be okay with that. I'd be like,
It sounds like a bottom half like Day and Age song almost, or not even
Yeah.
Day and Age, more like definitely Battleborn or Wonderful Wonderful. Like it sounds like it's like the 6th best song on Battleborn or something like that.
If this cracks their Mount Rushmore, I'd be wicked pleasantly surprised, and also I'd be very thankful for that. Because this has like couple listens to it. Like, just give me like 3 good songs, and the rest like okay, maybe some filler. Like,
if I can come to like appreciate it as a whole, though, that'll make me like those songs better.
Exactly. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Like Wonderful Wonderful and Battleborn are both like probably objectively like not great albums, but at least like Battleborn, we got like the song Battleborn, Runaways, Rising Tide, like Miss Atomic, like those are good. Last album we got Tyson v Douglas and Run for Cover and the Calling, like those are phenomenal songs. And
Wonderful Wonderful and exactly. Wonderful Wonderful and Battleborn both have bad songs on it, but they also have some like up there with like in their elite. If we can get that on this, I think what I'm trying to say is my expectations are they're not that high. Like I definitely had them higher.
We'll get 2 bangers out of it.
Yeah, probably if we can get 2, 3 Tyson v Douglas, Miss Atomic Bomb level boppers, then I'm good with that. And anything more is gravy. So my expectations for what is it? Shattering the Mirage, breaking the Mirage. Dabbing the Mirage,
imploding the Mirage, and they changed the cover. Remember the original cover was literally just like a statue's boobs.
Got some big old boobs.
We were like, we're kind of pushing the issue a little bit here. So
that's surprising for Brandon. Oh, I'm a Mormon. I can't look at that.
I can't look at that.
That's not my wife.
Especially in quarantine.
Oh Lord.
The Brandon Flowers quarantine song is coming, and you know it.
Yeah, right. Remember Land of the Free, I like the message behind it, but remember, like, that was like hot for like 4 minutes on Twitter, and then everyone was like, okay, what else is new?
Walls closing in. Can't do a Brandon voice, but and then the other one is, I forget what the other one is. No other songs. Do you want another Resurrection? I got a couple more Resurrections for you.
Sure. Fire away.
I've got 3 more. Actually, I've got 2 more. We can blow by this one, but Bill Parcells coming out of retirement to draft Jake Long.
You said we're gonna blow by this one. I think we gotta. How much? I gotta be up at some point. So
to draft
maybe like
maybe
like 8 hours
ahead of Matt Ryan.
It worked out. Like he's
an amazing all-time.
He was good. He was
in the Hall of Fame.
He was a pretty good lineman for a couple of years there.
And then he was on Matt Ryan's team like 4 years later.
Yeah. The end.
That's the Bill Parcells Jake Long story. Another big resurrection for you here. My alcohol. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, my beer drinking habits definitely for sure, because I have not, since this all started. I've definitely drank a lot of wine still, but I've not drank like my usual suspect drinks. Like, well, usually they revolve around Tito's, but your Sex on the Beach, your Screwdriver, your Vodka Cran, those are all just that's like the color wheel of my drinks, because 2 of those make the other one, which some peach schnapps. But it's just been I've had some rough weeks, and now I'm like, after last week I brought myself down. Like Friday and Saturday. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm trying to cut myself down to just kind of weekends at this point myself. We do themed dinners at our house now every Saturday, though, and with that has come specialty drinks. So that's been fun. In terms of beer, though, I'm mainly drinking beer. I'm trying to get more local beers. Like I'll still get Miller's just because, that's my brand. I can't abandon the brand. But in all seriousness, though, local beers. If you listen now, you like local beers, give them a buy. DJ Bean said this on Brunch. I 100% agree with him. And I've kind of taken it from that. I'm sure these breweries are getting absolutely slammed right now during all of this. So if you have a couple.
Every Saturday we've been ordering like a curbside pickup from one of them, and I'll try to like pick ones that are at least like a half-hour drive. So it's like I like get out on the road for a little bit and just like get out of the house. But we've done We've done Idle Hands a few times, which is in Malden. They've got a great. They've got the Four Seam is their big one, and it's very good. And you can usually get their stuff at liquor stores as well, but usually just not the Four Seam, but some of their other stuff that's good. Mighty Squirrel in Waltham, they have the Cloud Candy and something that has to do with the Galaxy, I think. But you can also usually get those at liquor stores, but we'll usually buy it straight from there. So we have an excuse to go for like a car ride or something. I've attempted to do Treehouse a few times, and every time I go to do it on like a Saturday morning, it's already all sold out.
Yeah, I've never had Tree. I've heard it's amazing.
I've
never tried to get it, but I know it's supposed to be like insanely hard.
Yeah, it's like an hour 10 drive from probably like an hour drive from my apartment too. So it would be like, but that's good. That's fine right now. So
yeah,
especially if I go and like load up or something. And then we've done and then night shift in Everett.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've night shift. Jack's Abbey has a good stuff. Their Pilsner is good. Hoponius Union, I've never been able to say that word, whatever it is. It's the green label, the one that they always sell. That's pretty solid. So yeah, local breweries, help them out, man.
And then final resurrection for you is our man's Boba Fett is shocker, not dead.
Yeah, how the hell did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? I think that's a question on everyone's mind right now. Not when are we going to find a vaccine for this virus. Not when things are going to reopen. No, how the hell did he get out of the Sarlacc pit?
Well, he had a jetpack, so
I guess, but I mean that's a pretty big Sarlacc.
So it's going to be our man's Aquaman's dad, Temuera. I don't know how to pronounce his name, Temuera Morrison, but it's the dude who played Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones is now playing Boba Fett in season 2 of The Mandalorian. And I would bet, just because this is the way that everything's been happening on this show so far, he will probably be in one episode.
Just one. That's all I need. Or he's like a very minor secondary character throughout. Yeah, don't overdo it. Don't shove it down our throats. Season 1 of Mandalorian was fantastic, and I think they did a good job of not overdoing some fan service stuff. They didn't even really overdo Baby Yoda, I felt. They
didn't at all.
Like, for being such a big part of the show, they easily could have said, all right, well, this is going to be obviously such a huge hit for us. We're fucking Disney. We're Star Wars and a baby version of Yoda. Yes, of course.
If anything, they underdid it. They didn't have any of the marketing ready for like merchandise or anything for that. So then, and then they got mad at all the bootleggers and the gift makers for taking it upon themselves to do Disney's job for them.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was being shoved down my throat by the show itself. Now, other people, maybe, just you got Baby Yoda fatigue from being online. But the show itself in a vacuum, no, I don't think they overdid it. But that'd be the one thing I'd be kind of hesitant about with news like this, that they'd overdo. Well, Boba Fett was like, "Oh, I'm clapping like a fucking seal because I recognize that character," and I don't want that. And I don't necessarily want that because I know this isn't necessarily a hot take. I'm not the first person to think this. Boba Fett overrated. Yes, very
for
overrated.
Sure. Everyone like it's one of those. It's just another one of those like classic Star Wars characters, and we saw this big in like the sequel movies where they just make a character that like is cool. Like it's a cool character. Like they look cool and everything, and then they just don't. They don't use them. They're in like one movie and then they die or something. Like he was in Empire obviously, and then he just like died like pretty early in Return of the Jedi. But there's some on the Clone Wars TV show which I know you have not watched, but there are a couple arcs that they do. The show's basically just set up in arcs. There's like 3 or 4 episode stories at a time. So it's kind of like a movie if you just watch them in a row. But there's a couple cool ones with young Boba Fett. And the shit, all that show is like canon and shit too. But so the dude is playing Boba Fett. So Boba Fett's a clone and all that. So it opens the door for now he can play other clones. So naturally, the rumor has now squeaked out that he's going to play a clone named Rex, who was in the Clone Wars show and the Rebels show. And they've already confirmed that Rosario Dawson is in it. She's playing the girl who was Anakin's Padawan, also in the show. And the reason I bring that up,
she's like orange or red.
She's purple.
Ahsoka. Yeah.
So she's
a good character. I haven't seen.
She is the best character in all of Star Wars, in my opinion.
Wow.
But the reason I bring this up, though, not to go too deep into it, but they made those shows, and so they are like canon, whatever. So they had to work within the fabrics of the universe, and that's also why I'm like not worried about the Mandalorian, because it's the same dude that wrote those two shows is like a supervising right. Him and Jon Favreau essentially write the Mandalorian, and he's one of the directors as well. Yeah. And he was so good at writing within the fabrics of like what was given to him by like the movies. So the last season of the Clone Wars that he just wrote, for example, it bleeds into Revenge of the Sith. Like you straight up, you see shit that happens in Revenge of the Sith in that show. And so he wrote it, having to weave it within these like pillars that are just like in place that cannot be moved. And he weaved the story within it. And basically what it comes down to with this show, The Mandalorian, Rebels, and the Clone Wars, is that these three shows are essentially like the crux of them. It's really like they're the story of Mandalore, which Mando says in season 1 that he's not actually from there. But like all those people that wear the armor, essentially this dude is writing the story of Mandalore through the eyes of different characters, basically. So that's why I'm not worried that he's going to overuse any of the, because we have all these, and now there's rumors that other characters that were in Rebels are going to be in it as well. But the rumor even said it was like, yeah, but it's literally going to be one episode. So now it's like, it's almost like that story that is going to continue. And you saw at the end of season 1, Gus Fring comes out with the black lightsaber there.
Yeah, that's supposed to be like the dark saber.
That has been in all the shows, and that is like the weapon of like Mandalore. So now what I think is about to happen is that in this third season, he's going to kind of continue to tell the story of Mandalore through Mando, essentially through an actual person who is a Mandalorian. Not that
what's this guy's name, the writer?
Dave Filoni. There was like a viral clip going around of him talking about the Phantom Menace, because they made that, Disney Plus made that like the documentary about the Mandalorian that comes out every Friday, and he had
that Duel the Fates video.
Yeah, and he was like that made me think. I was already like kind of in the middle on Phantom Menace. Like I hated, like they didn't get to Tatooine quick enough. Jar Jar was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's still not a good movie.
But the way he like talked to, and he went for 2 minutes, and if you watch that documentary, it's a panel with all the directors, because every episode of Mandalorian had a different director. Yeah. All of them are just like in awe listening to him talk about it, and just none of them are trying to interrupt him. They just let him go for like 3 minutes, and it was like incredible. I was like, okay, that's
still doesn't make it a good movie, but where was this guy for?
It makes me appreciate it though.
Yeah, true. Where was this guy for Rise of Skywalker? That's my question.
He was the Rebels show only ended like 2 years ago, so he was probably working on the Mandalorian already. So sad. Yeah, he knows his shit, and hopefully he gets more stuff. And there's some of these appearances too in the show people think are like, you know, like what do they call it, like a backdoor pilot, essentially, where it's like a pilot for a show, but it's not in that show. Like remember the Schrute Farms episode of The Office? Like that was supposed to be a backdoor pilot for a Dwight show, but then it just didn't work. So they were like, fuck it. So, and then hopefully if some of these characters go off and have their own shows like people expect them to, hopefully I think he's going to have a lot of say in it, because he's like proven he knows what the fuck he's doing. So
meanwhile, the Reylo kiss wasn't romantic. It was confirmed. Oh, God.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more I'm not a huge fan of that movie. I didn't actively 100% dislike it, but I would knock it down.
I still, you know what, I can find redeemable things in any movies, and honestly, anything I watch Adam Driver in, I am mesmerized by. He is incredible. And if it's true that there was like 40 minutes of that movie that they cut out that was like all him, I'm gonna like, I'm sorry, like we need to see that. He is like I feel like, I don't know if you've seen any John Oliver episodes as of late, but he's been doing this extended bit where he'll just like be like,
run me over.
Yeah, it just cuts to that photo of Adam Driver. I am like so mesmerized by anything he's in. There's a movie coming out this year. I think it's called like I don't know, it's like some French word, but it's a musical with Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard. The whole thing's a musical. Is just those two. Because watching him sing at the end of Marriage Story too. Now I'm like, I just need to see that. So
and at the restaurant.
Yeah. So that's a redeemable thing I will always have with that movie, is that he was fucking incredible in that movie. So
Yeah, no, Adam Driver confirmed.
And
good.
Zori Bliss. Oof. Speaking of characters, they didn't do enough with.
Who
She
was
should have
that?
been in. She should have been in all three of the movies. Kerry Russell,
Oh, Kerry Russell's character. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
love her. And Final Resurrection fits. Us.
we're back.
Did I make that joke already? I might have made that joke.
No,
already.
you haven't. Not that I remember. Again, days are running into each other, so maybe you did, and I just don't remember it.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna start cranking these every Monday. Every Monday, right? Well,
We're actually going
Monday
to be committed to it now. I know we've said
Tuesday,
it before.
Tuesday tomorrow. I mean, now I have nothing to do, so it's like I might as well. It's like, you know, I thought I would go back and listen to all these albums you've been recommending to me over the years. Now that there's no music coming out, but instead and same with movies. I'm like, oh, there's no movies coming out. I guess I'll go back and watch all these classics. I guess I'll finally watch Back to the Future. And now but instead I'm just sulking about the fact that there's no new music or movies coming out. So
grass is always greener situation. I am though excited. But before we wrap this up, I do want to get.
Oh yeah, we're gonna start cranking in. We got guests lined up already, booked in advance.
And by booked, I mean we'll just send them a DM at some point.
We'll send them the link into their email with no explanation, and then see if they join.
Hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go though, best single so far for the new 1975 album.
It is clearly If You're Too Shy, Let Me Know.
Yes, sir.
I actually have this vision where the end of quarantine era will be marked by the official end when I'm like it's over. Will be me seeing that song live in a nondescript field somewhere in the United States.
Take off your clothes. And so I texted you. I said they basically just was like, hey, remember Hard Out? Remember that song? That was a pretty good song, right? Yeah, let's make it better.
Let's do it again. You want to see me do it again?
Want to see me do Hard Out? Want to see me do it again?
I bet they wrote that song, that entire song in 2 months.
Eat that, Billie Eilish.
All right, we're good. We can drop it right there if you want.
Yeah.
How do I end this? Oh, there we go.
Keeping the